You're walking home late at night. The streets are silent, and suddenly you spot a black bag lying on the ground. You open it up, and your heart stops. It's packed tight with cash. You look left, you look right. No one is there. You grab the bag, run home, lock the door, and start counting the money. It's $1 million. Now, you think your life is set, right? You think you can quit your job, buy a Ferrari, and live in a mansion. But actually, your problems have just begun, because you have the money, but you cannot spend it. See, most people think the hardest part of being a criminal is stealing the money or selling illegal drugs. But that's actually the easy part. The hardest part is figuring out how to use that money without getting caught. And this is where money laundering begins. In this video, we're going to break everything step by step. How money laundering actually works, why criminals do it, how governments track it, and how dirty money moves through the financial system until it finally looks clean. In fact, experts estimate that more than $2 trillion are laundered globally every year, disappearing into luxury homes, offshore accounts, expensive cars, and secret investments around the world. Chapter 1. Why money laundering exists. The word laundering might sound funny, but this is a serious business. It's how drug lords, corrupt politicians, hackers, scammers, and even powerful corporations hide billions of dollars every single year. In the financial world, this is called dirty money. Why is it dirty? Because it has no legal history. If you walk into a Ferrari dealership today and put $300,000 in cash on the desk, they won't hand you the keys. They'll call the police. In the USA, and in most parts of the world, there's a strict rule. If you try to deposit more than $10,000 in cash into a bank account, the bank must file a report. In America, this is called a currency transaction report. And it doesn't just sit there. They send it straight to the government, specifically to the IRS and even the FBI. So if you are a regular person with a normal job, suddenly show up with $1 million in cash, the IRS will ask one simple question. Where did this come from? And did you pay taxes on it? If you can't answer that, you go to prison. So illegal money is basically radioactive. Criminals can't touch it without getting caught. This is where criminals use money laundering. The definition is simple. Money laundering is the process of taking dirty money and cleaning it so it looks like legitimate money. Chapter 2. Real story behind the term laundering. It goes back to the 1920s when the famous American gangster Al Capone made millions by selling illegal alcohol. He had so much cash that he literally didn't know what to do with it. So he needed businesses that handled lots of cash every single day. And one of the perfect businesses at that time was laundromats. So he bought a chain of laundromats. It was a simple business where people came in, paid some cash, and washed their clothes. Now here is the trick. Let's say 200 real customers came to the laundromat in one day, and each person paid $10 to wash clothes. So the total money collected from real customers is $2,000. That means the laundromat honestly earned $2,000 that day. But Al Capone secretly had illegal cash. He wanted to mix into the business. So instead of reporting only 200 customers, he claimed that 500 customers came that day. Now let's do the math again. If 500 people each paid $10, then the total money shown in the business records becomes $5,000. But the extra $3,000 was not real business income. It was illegal money secretly mixed with the laundromat's real cash. And when that $5,000 went into the bank, it no longer looked suspicious. To the bank, it simply looked like normal business income from customers washing clothes. And that's how the term money laundering became famous. Although some historians also believe that, the phrase became widely popular later, especially during the 1970s Watergate scandal. But today, money laundering usually doesn't involve actual laundromats anymore. Modern criminals may use fake companies, casinos, luxury real estate, offshore bank accounts, and even cryptocurrencies. But the core idea is still the same. Take dirty money, move it through layers of transactions, and bring it back looking clean, legal, and safe to spend. Chapter 3. The process of money laundering. To clean a large amount of illegal money, criminals have to pass 3 distinct levels. They are called placement, layering, and integration. First, let's talk about placement. This is the moment illegal cash first enters the legitimate financial system. And for criminals, this is usually the most dangerous stage. This is where many criminals get caught because the money is still physical cash, easy to trace, and highly suspicious. Think about it. If someone suddenly shows up with huge amounts of unexplained cash, banks and financial authorities immediately start asking questions. So, criminals try to find ways to move that cash into the system without attracting attention. And to do that, they often use different methods to make the money look less suspicious before it enters banks. Method number 1, smurfing. Around the world, banks follow strict rules designed to catch suspicious cash flow into the system. Every transaction has limits, and if you cross them, the bank is required to report it to the government. In the United States, the rule is simple. Anything above $10,000 gets reported. So what do criminals do? They don't deposit $1 million at once. Instead, they break it down into smaller amounts and spread it out, using different people and different banks. These people are called smurfs. It's like sending 20 small ants to carry tiny pieces of sugar instead of one big ant carrying the whole block. Sounds smart, right? But it's illegal. And modern banks are much smarter today. They use advanced software and artificial intelligence to detect unusual patterns. If someone repeatedly deposits suspicious amounts again and again, the system can connect the dots very quickly, and that can trigger investigations. Method number 2, the cash business. If you've watched Breaking Bad, you probably know this method. This is very similar to the laundromat example we discussed with Al Capone. Criminals may use businesses that naturally handle lots of physical cash every day, like a car wash, a restaurant, a laundromat, or a pizza shop. Let's say someone uses a pizza shop, and he honestly earns $2,000 from selling pizzas to real customers in one night. But secretly, another $3,000 of illegal cash is added into the business records, making it look like the shop earned $5,000 that night. Now, when that money goes into the bank, it appears to be normal business income instead of unexplained cash. And because cash businesses naturally handle lots of daily small transactions, it can sometimes be difficult to verify exactly how many sales actually happened. But today, investigators and financial systems look for warning signs like fake receipts, unusual sales patterns, and financial records that don't match reality. Method number 3, the casinos. Casinos are another classic placement method. The criminal walks in with suspicious cash and buys $100,000 worth of casino chips. Then he plays a few games, maybe some poker, maybe a little roulette. He doesn't even need to win. Let's say he loses $5,000. That's fine. After some time, he returns the remaining chips and asks for the money back. The casino may then issue a check or transfer the remaining $95,000 to his bank account. Now, the bank thinks this money is connected to gambling activity, and just like that, the money now has a story. So these are some examples of the placement stage. Level 2, layering. Okay, the criminal survived level 1. The illegal cash has successfully entered the financial system. But now comes the real game. Once dirty money enters the banking system, criminals try to disconnect it from the original crime. This is the stage where the money gets moved, mixed, and hidden through so many layers that even investigators start to lose track. Think of it like a magic trick. You know that game where a magician places a ball under one of 3 cups, then shuffles them around really fast, and suddenly nobody knows where the ball is anymore? That's layering. The goal is simple. Move the money so many times through different bank accounts, companies, countries, and transactions that the original source becomes difficult to track. And this is usually the most complex and confusing stage of money laundering. These are some of the most common layering methods that criminals have used. Method 1. The shell company. Shell companies are one of the most common tools used in money laundering. On paper, they look like real businesses. They may have names, registration documents, bank accounts, and sometimes even websites. But in reality, many of them don't do any business. They have no real office, no employees, and no genuine operations. That's why it is also called ghost companies. Here's how the criminals do it. As we know, the criminals have already placed his dirty money in a bank account. Now, the criminals create multiple shell company. Company A, then another company B, then another company C. They appear to be separate businesses, but secretly, they all are controlled by the same criminal. Then the money starts moving. Company A sends money to Company B, calling it consulting fees. Company B transfers it to Company C as service charges. Then Company C sends it back as business income. On paper, everything looks normal, just businesses paying each other. But in reality, the money is just moving in circles. Each transfer adds another layer, making the trail more confusing and harder for investigators to trace. And after enough layers, the original source of the money can become extremely difficult to follow. This is how major financial scandals, like the 1MDB scandal, moved billions of dollars around the world for years. Method 2. Multiple bank transfers. Another common and classic method of layering is simply moving money again and again through different bank accounts. The idea is simple. Don't let the money stay in one place for too long. For example, money moved from one bank account to another, then to a different bank, then sometimes even to another country. On paper, each transfer may look normal, like a payment, loan, or business transaction. But the real goal is to create confusion. Because the more the money moves, the harder it becomes for investigators to trace where it originally came from. And after many transfers across different accounts and countries, following the money trail can become extremely difficult. These are some of the most common layering methods used in money laundering. But there are many other methods too, like fake loans between companies, expensive art purchases, offshore accounts, cryptocurrency transfers, and many more. But no matter which method is used, the goal of layering is always the same: to create confusion and hide the original source of the money. After passing through so many companies, bank accounts, countries, and transactions, the money slowly becomes harder to trace and almost unrecognizable. And once that happens, the money is ready for the final stage, integration, where it finally returns back into the real world looking clean and legal. Level 3. Integration. Now the money is ready to be spent, invested, or shown openly. One of the most common methods is buying real estate things, like luxury apartments, hotels, villas, or commercial buildings. Because when someone buys expensive property, it often looks like a normal investment instead of suspicious money. Another common method is starting real businesses like restaurants, construction companies, or import-export businesses. And finally, some criminals simply use the money to live luxurious lifestyles. They buy expensive cars, jewelry, yachts, private jets, and luxury vacations. This was seen in massive scandals like the 1MDB scandal and the fraud case involving Bernie Madoff, where huge amounts of clean-looking money were connected to luxury properties and lavish lifestyles. And to the outside world, it simply looks like wealth and success. But the story doesn't end here. The world is changing fast. banks, governments, and financial systems are becoming smarter every year. Today, modern banks use artificial intelligence, advanced tracking systems, and global investigations to detect suspicious money movements and financial crimes. What once worked decades ago is becoming harder and riskier to hide today. And that's important to understand. Money laundering is not some clever shortcut to wealth. It is a serious financial crime connected to corruption, fraud, scams, and organized crime around the world. Behind the luxury cars, expensive mansions, and secret bank accounts, there are often real victims and damaged lives. But at the same time, criminals continue finding new ways to move money. As technology evolves, they evolve too. And that's why money laundering has become a constant game of cat and mouse between criminals and financial authorities. Now you may ask, can it ever be stopped completely? Probably not. Because as long as illegal money exists, there will always be someone trying to clean it. But now, when you see a headline, a mysterious billionaire buying a $50 million mansion, or a random piece of art selling for millions, you might pause and ask yourself, is that real money? Or is it just going through the spin cycle?